I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
It's hard to believe it has now been 10 years since Tony Stark's first adventure welcomed us into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And what better way for Marvel Studios to celebrate than by finally bringing the Avengers alongside the Guardians of the Galaxy in Avengers Infinity War. And as we can see from the movie's big-ass haul at the box office this weekend, Marvel's momentum with critics and audiences is not gonna die down anytime soon. After all, this past decade of Marvel movies has been way better than the first few attempts by Marvel to bring their comics to live action on the small screen, such as the first two Captain America TV movies from 1979, starring B-movie legend Reb Brown. And seeing as I reviewed the second installment 2 years ago, I may as well take the time to finally go back and watch that very first pilot episode of Captain America, where the producers went down the same route as the Incredible Hulk TV show by releasing 2 TV movie pilots instead of just 1. But unlike the Hulk or Spider-Man shows, neither Captain America pilot drummed up enough audience interest to justify making more episodes, which meant comic book fans had to wait for 32 years to see Captain America done right. Now, since I enjoyed watching that second Captain America pilot movie, I shall see if this first one will properly serve its country. At least I should enjoy it more than that weird movie that Marvel did a few years back, where the Hulk teamed up with the Vulture, Doctor Strange's girlfriend, and Tony Stark's dad to take down some child-molesting priest. There wasn't one single action sequence in that whole movie, and Bruce Banner never hulked out once. Best picture my ass! So for those who think this Captain America's origin story is gonna hew closely to the comics, let me just inform you that Stan Lee is as much of a consultant on this movie as he was a screenwriter on Black Panther. That means there's gonna be quite a few liberties with this screen version of Steve Rogers, as played here by the man that Mike and the bots call Blast Hard Cheese. Instead of the patriotic soldier who gained superpowers so he can fight Nazis and Hydra agents during World War II, we've got a laid-back JoBlo in the present of 1979, who just got out of the Marines 2 weeks ago and has been riding along the California coast ever since, selling off his crappy drawings while he drives around a van he stole from the Dazed and Confused set.
Pretty mellow set of wheels.
Yeah, it's gonna be my home on the road for the next few years.
All right.
Well, good to see that Steve has finally taken the advice of his buddy Matt Foley and decided to start living in a van down by the river! Also, Steve is the son of a deceased government agent who is famous for the work he did protecting the country during the 1940s. And Steve knows almost nothing about his dad's secret life. But he's about to learn some things when he's messaged by an old friend of his dad, Dr. Simon Mills, a biochemical researcher and intel official who reveals to Steve that his father was behind an experimental serum known as FLAG.
FLAG. Full latent ability gain.
Yes, we originally called it vestigial ability gain, but that name did not go over so well. And now that Steve's dad is dead, Mills has been successfully testing the serum on lab mice so that they can get into fighting shape for the production of Mouse Hunt 2 Ragnarok. Problem is, the lab mice keep ending up dead. So Mills realizes that since Steve's dad developed the serum from his own glands, then the serum must work on the one person who shares that same genetic makeup, his son Steve.
You mean he was a super crime fighter, and now you want me to take his place?
No one else can.
But when Dr. Mills asks to perform some tests on him, Steve agrees to take the risk so he can serve the country which he loves so dear. I'm just kidding. Steve just turns him down.
Now I just want to get out on the road. Look at the faces of America. I don't want to look forward to weekends. I want every day to be the same. I just want to kick back and find out who I am.
Oh, you can't fool us, Steve. That's just fancy talk for saying you're gonna sit on your ass all day getting stoned and binge watching Alf on Prime Video instead of gaining superpowers and helping to foil the evil plans of intergalactic warlords. Look, are you guys sure you didn't find the wrong Steve Rogers account on Facebook? But the tables turn when later that night, Steve meets up at the house of Jeff Hayden, another friend of Steve's dad, only to find that Hayden's been shot to death in his living room by an unknown assailant. However, this murder might have something to do with the fact that Hayden was the director of a secret government project to perfect the neutron bomb, which has been hijacked by a criminal ring led by greedy oil executive Lou Brackett, played by special guest star Steve Forrest.
Who?
You know, he won a Razzie Award for his performance in Mommy Dearest.
Damn you!
crazy?
And before you ask, no, he is not going to turn out to be the Red Skull. Turns out Mr. Brackett had Dr. Hayden killed after Hayden refused to reveal where he hid a film strip, which contains the linear time equation that will activate the bomb and kick off a new global arms race. And now that Steve's been let on in this conspiracy, Brackett sends out his goons to find out if this Steve Rogers character knows where Dr. Hayden hid that film strip. But Rogers makes a dramatic escape from the goons on his bike, only to have him and his stupid biking goggles meet a tragic demise.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it! Woo!
When the doctors declare that Steve is now at death's door, Dr. Mills realizes this would be the perfect time to break out the flag serum. And when Steve reawakes, he thanks Dr. Mills for taking the risk and vows to use his renewed lease on life to become a warrior against the tyrants who threaten our democracy. I'm just kidding. He keeps whining like a little bitch.
That means I don't die like a laboratory rat?
That's my guess.
Your guess?
Are you talking about a guarantee?
I'm talking about my life, Simon. Yeah, I'd feel pretty good about a guarantee. We're not going to find out what Flag may have done to me, because I don't want to know. For the rest of my life, I'll never really know how long I have.
Hey, did anyone tell this lunkhead that he can find out whether this serum will end up killing him if he allows the doctors to run some fucking tests? You have been brought back from the dead and given superpowers. Stop being a sniveling dick and start punching some Hitlers. And herein lies the big problem with this Captain America adaptation, that it's so obviously just a blatant ripoff of another TV series that was popular in the 70s, The $6 Million Man. You got a hapless hero who dies in a fatal accident, and you got a scientist who revives him with a revolutionary procedure that brings him back to life as a Superman. Also, the hero of the show makes a weird sound effect whenever danger is afoot.
That's not funny.
And what's screwed up is that whenever one of the characters shares their memories of Steve's late dad, it sounds like a way better setup for a Captain America movie than the one we're watching.
He dedicated his life to helping the little guy in our society.
He shook so many of them out of the trees that they coined a nickname for him. Captain America!
But no! We're instead watching this show, where our titular superhero doesn't get into his iconic red, white, and blue costume until we've reached the last 20 minutes of this 97-minute film, when Mills finally makes a Captain America costume based off one of Steve's drawings, and even pimps out his van to include a star-spangled motorcycle, as well as Captain America's famous child-sized shield. That's supposed to be his shield.
It's bulletproof and rather deadly weapon.
God damn it.
But for the greater part of this movie, he's just an obnoxious douchebag who occasionally likes to use his superhuman powers to save the world, but mostly likes to whine about how hard life is gonna be for him now that he's a superhero.
How does it make you feel, Steve?
Frightened? If I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, I could hurt or kill somebody. If I move this pencil too quickly, or hold it too tightly. Pencil.
Yeah, boo-hoo, you have incredible powers beyond that of any mortal human, and the help of the US government behind you, complete with your bland love interest, Schmeggy Schmarter. My heart is breaking for you, pal. And though this film is only 10 minutes longer than the sequel, it feels like it's 100 minutes longer, thanks to endless scenes of dull exposition, intercut with amateurish action sequences. Damn it, where the hell that Captain America bastard go? It's like he vanished into thin— Oh, there he is! Whoop! I'm terrible at my job! However, it is still amusing to compare these Marvel movies of the past with the ones we see in the present. And this Captain America costume may well be the dumbest one I've seen yet. They basically just shoved Reb Brown inside Wonder Woman's blue wetsuit, then topped him off with swimming goggles and a helmet that's labeled A for asshole. And things certainly pick up whenever Captain America gets into a fight scene with these villainous goons, where he takes them down with his incredible ability to throw sides of beef at them inside of Paulie Panino's meat locker, and slip them up in a puddle of oil that looks an awful lot like poop when it first shoots out of this pipe. I'm thinking that Captain America may have some fucked up fetishes, guys.
It's the poo-poo.
But the camp value of this flick is all brought down by Reb Brown's complete void of charisma as our lead hero. Though I thought he was charming in the sequel, he is dull as balls in this first chapter.
Hey, wait a minute. Do you think Jeff was giving out information about the bomb?
It's not just strength and agility, it's vision and hearing. How much more?
In-game, will there be?
Oh no!
But when you make this poor guy play a superhero who doesn't really want to be a superhero, then there's nothing he can do to make us give a damn about this character. And so this movie is not nearly as much fun to watch on an awfully good level as its sequel. But now that I've got both 1979 Captain America movies out of the way, as well as the 1991, that only leaves me to review the 1944 Captain America serial. All 15 chapters and 243 minutes of it.
Damn you! Are you crazy?
Look, calm down, Steve Forrest. I wasn't actually planning on reviewing that shit. I was just making a joke. Jeez.
Damn you!
I may not have any Infinity Stones, but I do have an infinite amount of alcohol, so that I'm ready to play another round of the awfully good drinking game. Take a shot or drink every time the bad guys spring a trap on Captain America.
Steve Rogers showed up.
I thought we took care of him on the road we dumped oil on.
Yes, how could he ever have survived your genius plot of having his car slip on an oil spill like this is a fucking Hanna-Barbera cartoon? Oh well, then on to plan B. A Trail of Captain America feed. They discuss his costume, or Steve actually puts on the costume.
You're going to need something to protect you on that bike anyway. Why not make it a disguise? Something that'll make it impossible for them to remember or even recognize you at all.
And really, what better disguise could fool even the cleverest of villains than dressing like a dancer for the village people? You see an extended sequence of Reb Brown riding in his van or on his bike.
They ridiculed your father, remember? Called him Captain America? Be Captain America, Steve. Jam Captain America down their throats.
Wait, what exactly do you mean by jamming Captain America down their throats? Are we gonna see Reb Brown try to pull a Samuel L. Jackson in The Hateful Eight?
Come here, boy! Come here, boy!
And take a double shot for the 2 times they refer to Steve as Mr. Rogers.
Get dressed, Mr. Rogers. We're gonna take a little trip.
Now seriously guys, you didn't know there's another guy out there who's been made famous by the name Mr. Rogers? How can a villain be scared of a superhero whose formal name invokes the threat of red cardigan sweaters? Between this and Bill Cosby, sweaters have been ruined for me!
I do things to you that you can't even imagine.
And on the nudie watch, the ladies out there will be happy to know you get to see Reb Brown pop off his shirt to showcase every inch of that sweet beefcake.
That's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
But you may not get so hot over him once you've seen this guy try to make a clever James Bond style quip after leaving some goons hanging in a meat locker.
Tell them there's 3 suspicious characters down here at Pearson Brothers meatpacking plant. Tell them to hurry. I think they're getting a bad case of frostbite.
On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Bull to Bruce, the 1979 Captain America would be classified as a disgrace to his uniform, except that his uniform is already a disgrace, and freezes into a 3 out of 10. Now here's a picture of Reb Brown attending the Captain America premiere. Adorable. I'm Jesse Schaefer, JoBlo.com, and since I've not been able to see Infinity War yet, I'm glad that I never came across any spoilers while I was editing this video.
Hungry?
Captain America's
Sucked on that warm black dingus for long as he could.
God damn you, Internet!
JoBlo, he sure likes to drink a lot. JoBlo watches movie like the hero man. JoBlo, he's not.
American Ideal. It's a little tough to find these days, isn't it?
Not if you know where to look.
Right on.
He did jam himself down a few throats, didn't he?